I'm Caroline here with CCG Analytics. I'm sitting down today with Woody Walker. So on today's episode, we wanted to talk to you guys about digital transformation. Big buzzword right now in the market. Who actually knows what it means? I brought someone on who might. So wanted to introduce Woody Walker. She's our SVP of Alliances. Woody, can you tell them a little bit about what you do?
My background has been about 25 years in IT and then maybe about 15 in consulting. And so one of my favorite things to do is go in and fix some of the things that are wrong with companies, whether it be delivery, whether it's write-offs, too many write-offs, whether it's usually in the consulting world, whether we don't have enough utilization, but really kind of dig in, look at the data, figure out what's wrong, and then install processes to fix it.
And
So,
I can attribute that you have done that here. So definitely an expert when it comes to processes.
I love doing it.
Good. So you've been working a lot, especially in the Microsoft space, on digital transformation. I know that's a big push right now for Microsoft. Can you tell us what is digital transformation?
Sure. It's really companies transforming the old way they used to do business to the new way, whether that's using mobile, using digital, using social, using emerging technologies. But we can't continue to do business the way we used to, bricks and mortar, having people go to an old website that doesn't respond quickly. It's not personalized. It doesn't understand what I'm looking for. Everybody's so ADD right now that if you spend 5 minutes on a website, if it's not working for you, you're on to the next thing. So digitally transforming means taking a long, hard look at the way you run your company today and thinking about what you can do to make a change, whether it's using machine learning to make better decisions, whether it's using AI to more effectively communicate with your end customers. There's so many wonderful options out there right now to help you digitally transform. But and you can add to this too, there's really an omni-channel need right now for the way people shop. And why don't you talk a little bit about marketing and
from a
omni-channel?
marketing standpoint, I get it. Every marketer in every industry, if you're not predicting your customer's next move and creating a very
Exactly.
personalized message in every single channel they have, you're going to lose them. And that's the expectation. I think maybe as consumers, retail is sort of pushing the envelope in that. I know retail is a big place for
Absolutely.
digital transformation right now.
Mhm.
They feel the pressure. Companies like Toys R Us, that you're like, how are you going out of business? Well, it's because they're not doing anything to change their store. They're not
Correct.
doing anything to personalize their marketing efforts, and they're not adapting. But it seems a little scary. It's more than just updating a software platform, right? What does digital
Absolutely.
transformation really
It's
entail?
just thinking differently about how you run your company. So let's take Toys R Us, for example. Big, huge stores, lots of costs to keep that up and have people in the stores. If they had been thinking the right way, and I don't want to tell them what to do or anything, but they would have reduced the square footage and still had a place where you can touch and feel, but really increase their online presence. Maybe have some fun mobile apps that kids can, play with. At the age of 8 or 9, kids now have an iPod Touch and they're, touching and feeling what's going on in the store virtually through mobile. So reduce the size of your stores, increase your digital view, make toys more available online, maybe have pop-up stores everywhere, but just change the way people are shopping today. They're just not shopping the way they used to.
Well, and that definitely makes sense in retail. And it's easy for us to sit here and say, of course, like you're saying, we're not running Toys R Us. But what if we are running a company right now? If you're the CEO of a company, what does digital transformation mean to you?
I think I would pull in all of the leaders of my company and say, let's take a look at the next generation. How do they view and see and consume our product, whatever our product may be, and really start to move towards that. Are you engaged on Twitter? So for example, just some fun ideas of ways to engage as a company is Arby's. Arby's posts really entertaining, funny quips on Twitter all the time that get people responding, whether it's an insult to McDonald's or Burger King, but they're engaging people in a social way. They also have a mobile app so that you can engage that way. And it makes you think, oh, you know what? I've engaged 3 times with Arby's today. I want to go get myself a roast beef sandwich. But you have to engage people continuously throughout their day, or they move on to the next, best thing. And there are continuous new products and new companies popping up all the time. And our most successful companies are the ones that are digital, Uber, Amazon, etc. They're all digital. Stitch Fix is one that I like to talk about. That was a company that didn't exist 5 years ago, and now she's, in IPO mode, and her entire focus is data analysis and digital
science.
Transformation.
Yep.
She has 75 data analysts on staff looking and reviewing all of the needs of her female consumers to pick the right outfit for them that gets mailed to their door, that they can easily mail back without any costs if they're not interested in it, for a small membership fee. I mean, why would I want to go to Macy's if I can just do that from my house? And I have a personalized shopper that's not costing me really anything extra.
Yep.
So to me, it's really a transformation and really looking at the new generation of consumers and how you're going to work with them.
And the way to do that is data. So I love that you brought up Stitch Fix, because she recognized early on it's not just about predicting what these customers are going to do, it's having a conversation. And
Correct.
The only way you can have a conversation with your customers is data.
Absolutely.
And obviously Microsoft is on the forefront of data. I mean, they're
Absolutely.
everywhere, largest cloud provider. I mean, Azure is just blowing up. Everyone's interested in it. What is Microsoft's approach to digital transformation?
They have 4 different things that they focus on. It's empowering employees, whether that be O365 or team or planner, just making it really easy for us to all communicate with each other and be effective about it. The next piece is engaging customers, and we've been talking a little bit about this, but really personalizing that customer experience. The third one is just making sure your operations are running tight, reducing costs. Go to the cloud if your team is 20 database and network analysts to support your on-prem data center. That's silly. You're going to save so much money going to the cloud. Making sure you've got disaster recovery and backup through the cloud that's inexpensive. Just tightening up your operations. That's the third one. And
it's okay. Well, you got most of them, so that matters. And in cloud is such a great thing to mention. Cloud, we've seen it's an inevitability now for a lot of customers. And I'm interested in your thoughts on the security aspect of cloud, because 5 years ago that was the big conversation is, oh, I can't go to cloud, I can't have my data, off-prem, oh, I can't protect it then. But what we've seen is that a lot of companies that are having these legacy systems, they are getting hacked.
They're totally getting hacked. And Microsoft has yet to be hacked, and this is their entire business. Why would we think that we could do security better than Microsoft that does nothing but do this 24/7? And speaking to the healthcare world, I have a couple of CIO friends that are not ready to go to the cloud because they feel like the patient information is too valuable. Well, their data centers are antiquated. When it rains, water's coming in, and leaking, and they're blow drying their servers to dry them. They don't have a disaster recovery strategy that's tested every 6 months. To me, you're just playing with fire. Think about what's best for the end consumer, again, which is the patient. And for me, it's always moving them to the cloud nowadays. We're not talking 6, 7, 8 years ago when the cloud was new. The cloud is established, and there are processes in place, and it's very safe and secure.
Yeah, safety is definitely a big check. It's funny, Microsoft has people working around the clock, and you've only got people on staff 8 hours a day.
Exactly.
So definitely makes
and no one's even manning your data center. You can't even throw a piece of paper away in the Microsoft data center without having another person walk with you to the garbage can.
Yeah.
So it's a huge difference.
Well, we say Microsoft Cloud, and that sort of simplifies it down. I know there are so many services to Microsoft Cloud. There's so many options. If I am that CIO and I am feeling like cloud might be a good option for me, might help me with my first step to digital transformation, where do I start? Where do I go from here?
It's very easy. You can just call us and we'll help you do an assessment. It's a very simple assessment. It takes a couple weeks.
Well, that's biased. So if you don't want to call us, love your answer. Director of marketing always loves that answer.
If you don't want to call us, it's still relatively easy. It's very easy today to install some assessment tools on your virtual and physical machines, and within a couple weeks collect enough data to come back and tell you, this is what it costs to move you to the cloud. Here's all the benefits that you and I already mentioned: disaster recovery, backup, ease of use, scalability, reliability, etc. Here's what it costs you today with all of your labor and your contracting costs versus what it costs you to go to the cloud. And in 2 weeks, we can give you that information. And then it's really easy to migrate also.
And is that something free that Microsoft offers, or is that?
That's something usually partners offer.
Okay.
Microsoft does not currently offer those services. They're encouraging everyone to use a partner to move forward with those services.
Does Microsoft offer any sort of support? through I know they have offices all over the place.
Well, absolutely. I mean, if you purchase your Azure services from Microsoft, you can call Microsoft 24/7 through a support call, and they will absolutely answer your questions.
Well, I know you've tried some Azure Design Centers and going to the MTCs. Can you tell us a little bit about your experiences going in there and seeing the change of someone who maybe before they walked through those doors was a CIO saying, I'm not moving to cloud, and once they walked through those doors, what that experience was like?
Absolutely. You know, and I think everyone has fears based on lack of time to really educate yourself. I don't want to say lack of ignorance because we're not ignorant. We just have so much coming at us. It's really hard to sit and focus and understand what the cloud's going to do for you. So what I see is CIOs coming in the door at MTC, spending a full day with Microsoft, really understanding what the cloud has to offer, understanding that it's a hybrid approach. It's not even all or nothing. I don't, as a CIO, have to go full on to the cloud in 2 weeks or a month or even a year. I can pick a couple of use cases. You know, marketing has to scale quickly during seasonal times and then scale back. And you know what? That's very painful for me as a CIO with my team who's trying to keep the lights on. So why don't I just start with marketing and maybe I just go cloud there, right, and test it out for a year and see how that feels, and then maybe I can add the next department. You know, it doesn't have to be scary. You can take small bites, but yes, usually they walk out of there educated and transformed and really excited to digitally transform their entire organization.
Great. Let's talk about some more successes of what that looks like on the other side of this, because we can admit change is a little scary. But this
change is very scary. It is physically painful for human beings to go through change.
It's difficult. And there's a difference, though, between just traditional change and what digital transformation is. And I know you were telling me this before we got on this interview, but change is an external pressure, which, yes, digital transformation is a little bit of that. But unlike anything we've seen before in technology, at least in my time here, it's not just, oh, there's a new software out and we can adopt this. This has to come from internal. This is really about culture.
Absolutely.
Digital transformation is that data-driven culture and inspiring that in everyone internally.
Correct.
And really, it comes from leadership. And I've seen that in many instances.
And I will give you a case study of one of our wonderful clients that we love working with. Their CEO is extremely forward-thinking and such a strong executive sponsor for digital transformation. And 3 years ago, he pulled all of his leaders into a meeting and said, look, we have to digitally transform and we're not going to be around 5 years from now. Mm-hmm. And every day he speaks about digital transformation. He has an organizational change management team to help everyone in his company understand what that looks like, because every single person in the company can digitally transform in their own way, whether they engage with self-service BI tools so they can pull their own information instead of waiting for IT to pull the report for them, or whether they decide to implement predictive analytics in how they sell, when the right time is to sell, what price is the right time to sell, whether it's just having a place where you can walk in, and this is one of the coolest things they've done, a war room with a ton of screens that show scrolling media information, Twitter, negative Twitter feeds, positive Twitter feeds, Facebook comments, unstructured data married with structured data and what that looks like. If Woody Walker is saying something on Twitter, when's the last time she purchased something? Was she happy when she did it? What does her recommendation feedback look like? Just bring it all together and really understand our consumers in that holistic omni-channel way that you and I were talking about. But he's done amazing things, and the ROI on digital transformation is huge. In just a couple of years, he was able to show a $92 million ROI in 1 quarter. Just really understanding his consumers and the data. So it's very powerful when you have that top CEO being a strong executive sponsor of digital transformation and making sure the entire company is following along.
And I love that. That is such a great example of digital transformation. For some of our viewers, it might feel a little intimidating. If you're not a Fortune 100 company and
right.
Digital, for those, it's actually might be even scarier, but still, what I love is, and I'll share a quick story.
Yes,
I recently had a great experience. We were able to work with Metropolitan Ministries, nonprofit, no budget to do these things. And their CEO, Tim Marks, is just so forward thinking. And he cares most about connecting with those donors and connecting those donors with what they're doing.
Absolutely.
So it's all about ROI to them is giving more to the community, which is such a great use case for digital transformation. I mean, that's just the more you give, the more modern thinking you are, the more you can expand every dollar. And we went in and we actually did a very small AML project with them. So we used Azure Machine Learning to help them identify donors that are most likely to continue giving if you really work on that personalized relationship. And that's not going to be through some digital Twitter campaign and through some blast email marketing. It's going to be through phone calls and it's going to be through relationships. But identifying where you should be putting your efforts to those people that really care about your mission.
Absolutely.
I mean, and they've seen a huge uptick in that donor population just because of that little engagement.
So how do they, that's a wonderful example. How do they identify that I am someone committed to that cause? Is that collecting info on social media or really just talking to me?
It was all through donor, basically they have a donor identity. So that we use machine learning and it was a basic decision tree. So they created a lookalike group of their highest producing donors, their highest givers. I don't even want to say producing, but those donors that not only volunteer their money, but volunteer their time and really feel dedicated to the organization. They said, we want more of these. This is what we need. It's great that we have a couple people every couple of years giving us, $100 here and there, but man, we want more super volunteers that feel passionately about this organization. How do we find those? So we created basically a lookalike. Like what do those top volunteers look like? And then applied that to their donor base and said, based on this, these characteristics, just basic things like giving history, some demographics, some firmographics. Here are the people that most likely are going to give back to this cause because they look like those that are already here. So this is where you could be focusing your effort. And from a cost standpoint, for these nonprofits, this is helping them with mailers. Companies still spend so much money in mailers. We talk to retailers all the time. They're like, I spend millions on it. It doesn't matter.
And they mostly go right in the garbage.
And some it is effective. Some consumers it is effective. But stop wasting the paper. Stop wasting your money to send them to those that aren't, especially if you're a nonprofit and that's a big dollar amount for you.
Agreed. So. And it's the blanket decisions, that lack of specificity.
Specificity.
Yes.
Don't worry. I got you.
And the ability to target by learning things from Azure Machine Learning makes a huge difference.
And that's really what digital
transformation is. Your gross margin goes up, and that makes a huge difference.
It's learning about your customers and being able to do something about it. And like you said earlier, creating that conversation and transforming to be ready to do that. Yeah. Fantastic.
Well, thank you, Caroline.
Thank you so much. I think I have a better understanding of digital transformation now, so hopefully our viewers do as well.
We hope so.
It was great having you on here.
Appreciate
Thanks so much.